You'll be seeing this a few days later, but it's my birthday. And what am I doing? I'm making a video. But here it is, replacing the original Gardner boot with the current, formerly called Goodwood, new Gardner. G'day, my name is Tech and this is my channel about boots called Bootlosophy. I'm filming, working and living on Wadjuk lands. And while you'll be seeing this video later, it's actually my birthday and today I am 68 years old. But that's not going to slow me down, so here's another video. This one, a comparison of the original Gardner Chelsea boot model from R.M. Williams to the new Gardner model formerly called the Goodwood. This one is the original Gardner boot, which had been on R.M. Williams's catalogue for decades. It was always the original R.M. Williams work boot, complementing the Craftsman series, which had become more and more a city slicker boot, at least since the 1980s. The Gardner was a kind of return to their roots work boot model with a slim last, but had a round toe instead of the slimmer chiseled toe of the Craftsman models. It used less smooth grain leathers and offered wax suedes and oil kip leathers. Some of them were offered with a Vibram Commando lugged sole instead of this regular proprietary V-bar style outsole. And they've always been used by celebrity TV gardeners. The first time I wore these, I went out bush into traditional lands outside of MacArthur River near Borroloola in the Northern Territory. I was doing a job advising the traditional owners there about structuring a carbon sequestration and savanna burning business. I was met there by an anthropologist who had called us in, and after the meeting he took us out on a walk in country. But when he realized he had taken us too far, he had to backtrack fast. So we ended up climbing up a rock face to get to his vehicle in order to catch our flight on time. So these are tough, and the scratches conditioned right out of this oil kip leather. In 2023 though, R.M. Williams brought out this model, called at the time the Goodwood, named after a suburb of Adelaide. R.M. Williams enthusiasts welcomed the addition, we thought, to the range. It had been a while since they pulled the subpar stockyard model with its wide round toe, which had been their upmarket challenge to Aussie Chelsea work boots like Blundstones, Redbacks and Mongrels. This one has a wider last than most RM models, but retained the one-piece hole cut and Goodyear welt construction. It too was offered in more rugged leathers, specifically in oiled leathers or oiled nubuck like this one in a colour called bark. Then the next year, the original Gardner was pulled out of the catalogue with no fanfare, and people started to message me asking why the Goodwood I had reviewed, this one, was no longer available. And all they had was the Gardner, but that looked different from the one I had reviewed previously, this one. I'm not an R.M. Williams website phantom, so I had to go in specially to take a look. By the way, I'll leave an affiliate link to the R.M. website below, and if you're wanting to buy a pair and use the link, you don't have to pay any extra, but I will get a slight kickback to help with costs for producing these videos. Anyway, it dawned on R.M.'s fans that they had withdrawn the old Gardner and put these Goodwoods in, calling them the Gardner, but with no publicity material about it. Such is the way of a big global brand, I suppose. Take it or leave it, and their machine just cracks on. Today, this new Gardner is produced in oiled leathers, nubucks, and Crazy Horse, as well as Stead Waxy Commanders, and they also offer them with the Commando soles. The makeups do tend to change seasonally, or I guess with the availability of leathers. Let's start with a look at these two boots. I have done detailed reviews of both, so I'm not going to go into great detail about them here. I've already previously flashed up the reviews and I will also leave links to them below. Let's start with the OG Gardner. It's a typical RM boot, a Chelsea hole cut, meaning the uppers are made out of one piece of leather with only one seam up the back. This is an exceptionally difficult model to pull across the last, without creating all sorts of creases and folds underneath. It's also typically a 270-degree Goodyear welted model, which is how most RM models are made. This is the welt. It connects the uppers to the sole by being stitched to the uppers and the insole inside, and then stitched to the outsole on the outside edge of the welt. But it only goes 3/4 of the way around the boot, hence 270 degrees, and the heels are glued and nailed on. The idea is that it is sleeker at the heel and not really about function. Aesthetically, a 270-degree welt also allows for a narrower or at least less chunky heel to add to the sleekness. The last used was a slim round toe last. In fact, the width dimensions are no different from the Craftsman models, but has a shorter rounded toe. This other boot, a Goodwood in my hands, but in the stores now called the Gardener, bloody confusing, is the one that took over. Once again, it's a whole-cut Chelsea, but built on a roomier last with a definite increase in volume and width in the toe box, definitely giving work boot, yard boot type vibes. The Goodwood Gardener is a 360-degree Goodyear welted model. The welt goes all the way around the boot. And in this case, it's a storm welt with the lip carved into the leather welt and pushed up against the sides of the boot to increase water resistance. This creates a definite lip at the back of the heel area, but not obtrusively like a hard shelf. Like the original Gardener, and indeed like almost all RMs, they do not have a midsole. The common construction is a leather or pour-on insole, depending on the model, a cork or foam filler, again depending on the model and the year of manufacture, straight onto the leather or one-piece rubber outsole, no midsole. The lack of a midsole does make RMs generally easier to break in. They all have a fiberglass shank, and the standard outsole is a proprietary rubber V-bar type outsole with a solid rubber heel. So in substituting the former Goodwood for the original Gardener, what's been lost and what has been gained? Taking the viewpoint of the company, a major gain has to be efficiency in a simplified lineup. Rather than have tools and patterns to make too many different models, they can simplify the resources, materials, and workflows in the factory. From our point of view, the consumer, we've lost an attractively slim-lasted work boot that looked at home in the station yard, mustering sheep and cattle or on horseback, or in the garden and yard. While the old model was built as a work boot in typically Australian style, you could easily clean it up and wear them to a dressy dinner or in the city for meetings, especially in these dark brown, flat-soled kip leather makeups. What we have gained is a chunky-looking Aussie Chelsea work boot with the aesthetic of our tradie favourites in the Blunnies and Mongrels and Rossies. This is more of an urban work boot or a city slicker work boot that you wear on long weekends in the wine country, or as a real work boot, but more on a farm, say, or a vineyard or an orchard, rather than a cattle station. The Oil Nubuck Crazy Horse makeups are good-looking, sturdy uppers, and the Waxy Commander Sold versions look aggressively work booty. The feel is also very different. The original feels like any other Craftsman or Macquarie or turnout model. It is snug all the way around and makes your feet look actually quite small. The Goodwood-based model, same size, feels roomier and definitely has more volume without losing the fit. It does make for a more comfortable all-day work boot. Now, all in all, the substitution hasn't lost customers much, really, because if you want an original garden-looking RM with the round toe instead of the almond-shaped chisel toe, you can always get the turnout, which is a similar, if not the same shape. And the new Gardener does replace an old favourite, the Stockyard. By this, I mean the original work boot Stockyard, not the late 1990s Mark Newson designed 365 yard boots they were called, which were horrible looking fashion boots. The old Stockyard had the look and feel of the new Gardener, with a big round toe box, but it was a subpar construction with glued on TPU outsole, which was prone to tearing off after a few years. For mostly that reason, they were only around in the 80s and early 90s and were withdrawn quite quickly. This new Gardener replaces that look in the lineup with an infinitely better made boot that can stand the test of time beside all the other RM boots. In summary then, the replacement is a bit odd, but I guess it fits a purpose. Maybe there was an overduplication of a similarly lasted boot causing consumer confusion. And there certainly was the need for a round toe work boot style on the list. The way it was done was a bit strange though. Why introduce a new model, call it the Goodwood, and then almost immediately after, very quietly rename it? Often R.M. Williams' publicity and media department doesn't seem to recognize R.M. Williams' fans' knowledge of their brand and their range. Often it feels like they still work for the international fashion group they used to belong to, the Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy group, and create publicity as if the RMs are just another fashion brand. Splashy videos, photos, but not a lot of information and breakdown for the enthusiast. No, wait, just another fashion brand? Maybe they are these days, more and more. Okay, so there you go. You know what to do. Click on like to help me out. And if you're not yet subbed, go on and sub, because the algorithm will bring you more videos like these from me and from other boot review channels. Stay safe out there and see you again soon.